From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum on Wednesday ruled out a bilateral trade agreement with Canada following what she called a very good meeting with top Canadian government ministers a day earlier. "We have the trade deal with the United States, Canada, and Mexico. There is no need," Sheinbaum said during her morning press conference. Sheinbaum added Mexico will soon host Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. On Tuesday, Canada and Mexico agreed to create a plan to deepen cooperation on a variety of bilateral issues during a trip by two high-level Canadian ministers to Mexico City. In other news, Reuters reported the Kremlin said talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff were useful and constructive. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has now provided more detail on what comes next. Rubio said he is hopeful of making announcements later Wednesday on whether potential sanctions against Russia would still proceed this week. He said he has spoken to U.S. Special Envoy Witkoff, who is on his way back from a trip to Russia, and would have more discussions throughout the day. "We'll have more to say about that later on today," Rubio said. In July, Trump said he would impose new sanctions on Russia as well as countries that buy its energy exports from August 8th, unless Moscow takes steps to end its war with Ukraine. As for new tariffs, Trump signed an executive order on Wednesday to place an additional 25% tariff on India for its purchases of Russian oil, bringing the combined tariffs imposed by the president on the country to 50%. The tariffs would go into effect 21 days after signing the order, meaning that both India and Russia might have time to negotiate with the administration on the import taxes. Unfair, unjustified, and unreasonable were other words Foreign Ministry spokesman Randhir Jaiswal's statement used to describe the additional 25% tax on U.S. imports from India that Trump ordered Wednesday in an effort to squeeze Russia. "India will take all actions necessary to protect its national interest," the statement said. "India has already made clear that its imports are based on market factors and done with an overall objective of ensuring the energy security of 1.4 billion people," he said. Meanwhile, a 50% tariff has begun on imports from Brazil, which does include coffee. Coffee. Alligator Auschwitz is being challenged in federal court in Miami. Federal judges hearing arguments in Miami over whether to close Florida's immigration detention center, also known as a concentration camp, and stop further construction in the Everglades because environmental laws weren't followed. Environmental groups and the Miccosukee tribe asked U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams to issue a preliminary injunction saying the wetlands habitat of protected plants and animals is threatened and billions of dollars in environmental restoration could be reversed. It's one of two legal challenges to the South Florida detention center built at an isolated airstrip owned by Miami-Dade County. A hearing for a second lawsuit by civil rights groups is scheduled for August 18th. The civil rights groups say constitutional rights are being violated since detainees are barred from meeting lawyers, are being held without any charges, and their bond hearings have been canceled. And finally, unfounded bomb threat prompts evacuation of hotel hosting Texas Democrats. A Chicago area hotel where Texas Democrats have been staying was evacuated Wednesday morning after an unfounded bomb threat, local authorities said. About 400 people were ordered out of the hotel as police, firefighters, and a bomb squad searched the hotel, the city of St. Charles said in a statement. Authorities found no devices. Chicago is where many Texas House Democrats are staying to block a vote back home on redrawn U.S. House maps sought by President Donald Trump. That's the news for this hour. Download the Live 365 app to take PEP Radio with you wherever you go. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.